Welcome to the Church of Mabus radio show. It's Friday night, 7:06 p.m. Central. And I have no idea what the hell is happening in that background, but it looks pretty interesting. There's like men in gas masks and owls and haunted houses. And I need to get my other one, the logo one that has the UFO guy on it. We got Wham here with us tonight. We got Thane Frederick Benson. Good to have you here. And first off, I just want to go over the last few shows. They've been really, one was with a former, well, I don't think he's former. I think he's still part of it. A Church of Satan bounty hunter. That's a real bounty hunter, Eric Werner. And I knew he had some affiliation with the church or whatever, but I didn't really know about the bounty hunter thing until we were interviewing. But that was a crazy interview, Eric Werner. Dark Moon Press. He's coming back on in October. And then this one was Johnny Zoltar and the Robots, a death metal guy that he's been on before talking about this subject, but basically he was talking about Kurt Cobain's murder, and he was actually on the phone with me and said that the FBI had gotten a hold of him and they were discussing it and things like that, and who the murderer was, which supposedly some guy named Alan Ranch, some plumber, some weird dude that's in a metal band. If you look up his name on YouTube, so he's like dressed up like Satan, looks like Gigi Allen or something weird. But anyway, the guy told me that he was talking to the feds about it, and he couldn't talk about it on air, even though I could have sworn some previous shows he talked about it some, but I guess it heated up. And he said, well, in a few days, and this show was a week or two ago, like 2 weeks ago. He said in a few days, the Kurt Cobain thing is really going to start heating up and they're going to release it. And I was like, yeah, this guy said also he's at a party and he talked to Charles Manson on the phone, which I believe he's telling the truth. And at that time, I'm always paranoid because I only know him from Facebook. So I don't know if everything he's saying is true, but he definitely earned some street cred with me because they just released the crap out of some Kurt Cobain stuff like several days after he said it, like all over the place. But anyway, the story is supposedly that there's a book called I'm Sorry, Kurt. And I forget who wrote it, but it's on Amazon. But someone saw apparently Cobain being loaded up with heroin. And when they found his body, it had 3 times the amount. And what they believe, someone actually witnessed the people who I guess were doing that and tricking him. And I guess now he's coming out about it. And there's a researcher and all kinds of other stuff that I can't even keep up with it all. So look it up yourself. Don't trust everything I say about it because of my memory issues. But basically they're saying that he OD'd and then they shot him with the shotgun afterwards. And I don't know who was all involved but it's buzzing everywhere. And that guy was just on the show talking about it. And, that was something that really affected me when I forget how old I was, but I was 17 or 18. And I had actually, when I had testicular cancer and I was going through chemo, I actually had a time where I was going to shoot myself during that. And I heard Lithium from Nirvana and I couldn't pull the trigger. And I think Nirvana was the only band I ever wrote, like a little slithering fanboy. And I said, your song saved me, blah, blah. I was 17. But anyway, then later he, supposedly whacked himself. So I was like, wow, that's a double boomerang right there. But I do believe that song helped me in an angelic sort of way. And I was very sad, when all that happened. And it wouldn't surprise me if, it seems like there's a lot more stuff coming out about it, that it was a murder, a homicide. But I'm still getting over the Rob Reiner thing, man. It's just a horror show. And Wham sent me Nick Pope, and I saw that on his wall. And he was one of the first people that I've ever interviewed on here about UFOs. I think he even came to those little weird chats we used to do with no audio that people were just, talking about UFO stuff. But Nick Pope, the British mod, Ministry of Defense, the Fox Mulder of Britain, I guess he came out with, what was it, Wham, exactly that the health issue was, because now my mind's drawing a blank, but I know he's
got stage 4 esophageal cancer. It's metastasized to his liver, so he basically you know, he didn't say how long he has, but he's decided, it was his public announcement that he's stepping back to spend time with his family before he goes.
Yeah.
So
Definitely prayers for Nick Pope, and I pray for a miracle for sure of that. My God, cancer is such an arse. I know Michael Kowalski just finished his bladder cancer chemo, and I need to check in with him. Michael Hacker, have you heard from him at all today yet?
no, but he's going to be recovering. You know, he had open heart surgery this morning, and I'm sure that he's like,
he's incapacitated.
Yeah,
I was like, "Are you okay, man?" Sending the text. It was 6 hours later. I was like, "He's probably knocked the hell out." So
yeah, I mean, it's probably a couple of days before he's going to be coherent enough. I mean, because depending on what the open heart surgery is, it can be that kind of stuff where they have to stop the heart and provide artificial stuff and then restart it again. I mean, I don't know exactly what they had to do, but if it's open heart surgery, it's pretty serious. They don't, they try not to do that anymore because of how serious it is. And, so you're usually pretty much out of it. And even just the pain of it alone, because they have to like cut through your ribs and crack your rib cage open, all that kind of stuff. Just the pain of that. They often put people in. I mean, they sometimes, depending on their circumstances. My father had to have that, and they pretty much keep you completely sedated for a few days because the pain is so bad.
Yeah.
When you come back.
Well, prayers for Mike. I'm sure he's going to be fine. And man, what a horror show we're living in. But we're going to make the best of it. That's all you can do.
Well, there have been horror shows before. It's just that because of social media, we're inundated with it constantly.
And man, Thane, your art is mesmerizing. Like I was just looking at the piece in the Image comic of Moonshine Bigfoot, and man, it's just like, God, just let's say one piece of art like that, like the one in Image. How long does that take to do?
Oh, that one took quite a while.
So
it's a 1-page comic in the back of Moonshine Bigfoot #2. And it originally was going to be like a double-page spread, so I drew it that way. And then for size reasons or whatever, it had to get shrunk down to 1 page. And it works fine as 1 page.
There's just so much going on with like interdimensional goo and weird creatures. And is there an alien influence with there's just so many. What are some of your influences off the top of your head?
Oh, my artistic influences? So like Jeff Darrow is a big influence of mine. If you're familiar with his work, he like Shaolin Cowboy is a comic he currently does. He did a comic in the 90s called Hard Boiled that made a big deal. And because of that comic, he got hired to work on the, the Matrix movies. So if you've seen the Matrix movies and you've seen like this sort of like intricate, crazy robot stuff, like that's what his drawings look like. The Matrix in a lot of ways looks like his drawings. So he's kind of like a hyper detailed guy. I really love his work. I kind of try to emulate his work. Another person I try to emulate is Sergio Aragones, who is a Mad Magazine guy. Yeah, and Gru. If you're into comics, you know the comic Gru. Yeah, for sure. I love Sergio Aragones too. So I think about him. I think about Jeff Darrow, and I also think about Mike Mignola, who's famous for doing Hellboy.
Yeah, I love
those three guys are kind of my holy trinity of people that I'm always trying to emulate. But there's lots of stuff. Whenever I see anything cool, I'm like, well, what's cool about this, and how can I try and steal what's cool about this? Lately, I've been looking a lot at Little Nemo's Adventures in Slumberland. If you know that comic, that's like
that's a cool one.
19 teens, but that's when comics, newspaper comics were entire broad sheet of paper. So it's like these very elaborate, very detailed comics. And that's Winsor McKay. And again, that's from over 100 years ago now. But I love those comics. Yeah.
There was a Kickstarter for something like that not too long ago. Real quick before I forget, there was one thing I want to plug, a Kickstarter that it won't take but a minute, but let me just say it real quick. It's called The Nostradamus Effect #1, Occult Apocalypse Thriller. a cursed relic, a weaponized plague, a secret order fighting in the shadows. The end begins here. It's called the Nostradamus Effect, and it's on Kickstarter, and it could be doing a little better. So it looks really good. I'd like to get these guys on to talk about Nostradamus and stuff, but I wanted to say that at the beginning, and of course my memory, I had the page open and forgot. But check out the Nostradamus Effect, and also Thane's Burnt, a Hellhole prequel. And that's how I first got started, was Hellhole Quarterly with your art and everything. And I love those, and I love the way you kind of put those out in like a serial, and it comes out and everything. And I was recently reminded of those Green Mile books when I was at like Kroger, and they used to like just release like the one book at a time of the Green Mile for Stephen King. I don't think they do that much anymore, but I remember like but it was just like one little section at a time at Kroger, which was kind of weird because I don't think I've ever done that with any other books. But for some reason, the Hellhole things remind me of that kind of format, but because they're around the same size and everything. But Burnt, I have the original Burnt, and now I'm looking at this Burnt, and I have to get this one at some point. I may not be able this time, but it has a story missing that my OCD's like, now I got to have this missing story. So, but it looks amazing. Your art is amazing. Tell us about Burnt and Hellhole Quarterly, just that world and a little bit what it's about.
Yeah, so Burnt was actually my first graphic novel that came out. It started life way back when I can't even remember the dates. I want to say it was like 2006, 2007, something like that. DC Comics was running a competition called Zuda Comics, and it was like an online thing where you could do web comics, and you got paid to do it. And then like it was like a voting thing, and they do 10 up at a month at a time, and whatever one got the most votes would then get a contract to continue the comic, basically. And that was kind of right when I was first getting into comics and trying to like make money doing comics. So this opportunity came along. I was like, oh yeah, I want to enter that. And so Burnt showed up in there as just an 8-page comic, and it was going to be a longer thing, but like for the competition, it was 8 pages, or screens is what they called them, because it was a web comic, right? So it's almost like half a page, like a horizontal page. Yeah. And so there was 8 pages, and at the time it was called As Is Inferno was the title. And it's basically, if you have the graphic novel Burnt, it was basically the first 10 pages of Burnt. It was 8 screens, but ended up being 10 pages because I moved stuff around, reformatted stuff. But that was kind of the beginning of it. It was done for this competition. So I wrote it and drew it, and I only had those pages. And this isn't much of a spoiler because it happens on page 10 of the graphic novel. But basically the story is the murder of Lucifer, and the entire graphic novel is you're trying to figure out who murdered Lucifer, right? Which happens on page 10, which was page 8 in the Zuda competition. And for a long time, those 8 pages is all there ever was. Like, I didn't even know who murdered Lucifer. I had no idea. Like, I'd only written that much and only drawn that much. And it did well in the competition. And I thought I was going to win. It was like in first place till like the last day and whatever. It ended up finishing in second place. So I did not get the contract. So I did not continue it. But then I was like sending it around to publishers and whatnot and stuff like that. But nobody was really interested. And then Kickstarter suddenly became a thing. And it was actually another artist I know named Sean Cosley, who was also on Zuda Comics back in the day, who's like, oh, you don't need a publisher anymore. He's like, you can just do it yourself on Kickstarter. I was like, tell me more. What is Kickstarter? And so then I believe it was 2010 that it was on Kickstarter. And then I got the funds to finish it. So then I finished it. And that was basically the beginning of my comic book career. Was kind of the launch of the original Burnt on Kickstarter way back when.
Awesome. And Moonshine Bigfoot, did that open a door for you? Or do you ever do like other companies and stuff like that, or is it always independent?
It's mostly independent. I've done freelance stuff for other companies for sure. I've done some illustrations, some like freelance writing and stuff. The Moonshine Bigfoot thing happened because So there's a team of guys behind Moonshine Bigfoot. It's several people who work on it, but one of the main guys is Zach Howard, who's the inker and the co-writer of Moonshine Bigfoot. And I live in Denver, Colorado, and he's a Colorado-based guy. He lives right outside of Denver. So I would see him at shows occasionally. I would do like comic book shows and horror shows and things like that. And I was familiar with his work. I was a big fan of his work. He did the Cape comic book based on the Joe Hill story, The Cape. If you've ever seen that, that's a great comic. And I knew him from that and other stuff. So I made a point of like putting my work in front of him. I was like, "Hey, Zach, I'm Thane. I make comics." And you know, I met him for the first time years ago, but when I was putting my stuff, he was always very nice to me. But he was, but but my early stuff he was definitely not particularly impressed with. But then at some point, like I started putting my stuff in front of him, and then he started being like, "Oh, this is really good," which was nice. It was nice, like affirmation. It was nice to know that I was like getting better the more comics I did. So then yeah, I approached him about doing like some what do you call it, like variant covers for me.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'll do one for you." He's like, "I'll trade. You want to do something for me?" He's like, I have this new comic coming out, Moonshine Bigfoot. I was like, "Yeah, I'll do a trade for you." So that's kind of how the Moonshine Bigfoot thing happened.
And let's see, trying to, oh yeah, the Weird West theme and everything. That's something we've gotten into a lot, and that seems to be a big money grabber on a lot of things like Kickstarter and things like that. I've only been doing Kickstarter for a few years, and I've had to manage it like an addiction. It can get very out of control fast.
Yeah,
because there's just so many great things on there, like people creating things that are just, there's Kevin LaForte, Inverse Press, is doing these gothic matchup comics, and he's coming on in March, Dracula and Moby Dick in the same comic together. And there was just cool. And there was another one he just did. God, I'm trying to remember it, but anyway, and I recommended a Bigfoot Dogman. He said maybe I'll think on it, but that would be a grabber, because I see a lot of these creators on here. Like I see big ones that make a crap ton of money, and then some of the other ones, like they deserve to make more than that amount, and it's kind of like unfair sometimes. There's one guy that was supposed to be on next week, Graham McNeil, and he put out this Norse book, Wolves of Midwinter, and it looked amazing, but it totally flopped on there. And he was supposed to come on next week. He's not even answering his things. I'm like, "Are you okay, man? I hope you're all right, dude." But anyway, Mark Eddy's going to come on for some Norse next Friday. But when it comes to the actual story of Hellhole Quarterly, what is that story? I mean, what's a little bit about that story?
Yeah, so like I said, Burnt was my first comic, and it's sort of like a complete story in itself, right? And then after that, I moved on and started doing different things. I was doing sort of more like all ages type comics. Quick the Clockwork Knight is like a series. I do a lot of sort of choose your own adventure comics and things like that, or experiment with the form. But people kept telling me like, "Oh, I want more Burnt." And I was like, "Well, Burnt's done. Like it's a complete story. There doesn't need to be more Burnt." But I kind of kept getting that. So I was like, "Well, maybe I could go back to Hell and do more with Hell," because I kind of built this, my version of Hell, right, for Burnt, even though Burnt tells a complete story. I'm like, well, Hell's still there. Like there's still demons in Hell and people in Hell. Like there could be more stories in Hell. So the short version of Hellhole is basically it's the same Hell as Burnt, but I don't specify the exact date, but many years after the events of Burnt. So it's Hell in the future compared to Burnt, and it's but it has some similarities to Burnt in the sense that it's sort of like a film noir, kind of like crime driven story. It's just the setting is Hell, so all the characters are demons or damned souls, and the occasional angel that finds its way down to Hell.
And right now, when it comes to comics, I've had to rein in that addiction as well due to financial horrors. But there are some lately that are just amazing to keep up with. One I've been keeping up with is the whole Transformers G.I. Joe thing, the Hasbro United World with Void Rivals and stuff. And then I'm always hunting down Western comics. Like I love Jonah Hex and stuff like that. I have the old ones, like the old Weird West ones that are from like, I guess, the 70s and stuff. So I'm always looking. One that Joe R. Lansdale recommended, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a Weird West called The Sixth Gun.
Oh yeah, I've read that. That one's great. Yeah, that's Colin Barnes, the author. I can't think of the artist off the top of my head, but yeah, those books are terrific. And I guess there's a new one coming out of The Sixth Gun, I heard recently.
Yeah, there's a new series of that's got a few issues that are coming out. Another one's the EC Comics. I really love those. They just restarted doing those. and then there was one called High Strangeness that somehow Elijah Wood is tied into that comic brand from Ani Press, but it's called High Strangeness, and it looks like a lot of UFO and Men in Black, and I still need to read it, but it looks pretty amazing. But there's only 5 issues to that. It's called High Strangeness if you want to look that up sometime. But somehow he is involved in the production company with Ani Press. They're supposed to put out some new titles. There's actually a picture from it, and it has like this alien and all these masks on the wall of Bigfoot. And you'll see it if you put it in the search engine or whatever. But there's like a Bigfoot and the Green Man, an alien, a Men in Black, and I guess the alien entity like wears the mask to shapeshift or whatever. And some other good UFO ones. The Project Blue Book with James Tinian. Did you see those?
Yeah. Is Mike Omen's part of that too, right? Is that the artist?
Yes, I believe so.
I've seen those for sure.
Those are actual UFO cases in America, like Betty Barney Hill, and then they just put out another part to that called Project Red Book or the Red Book, and it's China UFO ones. So that should be
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think Russia may be in it too, but it's called Red Book, so it's getting into foreign nations UFO stuff. But I guess I was going to ask, what are some comics that you have to keep up with now that come out? What are some of your favorites?
Well, I mentioned Hellboy. That's definitely a favorite of mine. And that kind of seems to keep going and keep spinning off into different series. And I like them all. My favorites are the ones that Mike Mignola, writes and draws himself. But I read kind of all the other stuff that comes out too. Like anything Hellboy related or Hellboy universe related, I'm into and I enjoy. I mentioned Jeff Darrow, Shaolin Cowboy. He keeps coming out new stuff. They just released a new collection called, what was it called? I have it sitting next to my bed. It's like a big collection. I'm trying to remember what the title is, but it's the newest Shaolin Cowboy. It's like the end of the beginning of the end. It has those words in the title, but it's Shaolin Cowboy. Those are great. Those are amazing. And this one has some of his earlier work. He started, he's an American dude, but he's lived in France. And I know he started, his career was first in French magazines. So a lot of his stuff has not been published in English. And this collects a lot of his early work, which is cool to see. So yeah, anything Jeff Darrow I love, anything Shaolin Cowboy I love. I'm trying to think what's on my shelf right now. I did recently read the blue book one. I did just recently read just like a month ago or something. What else is downstairs? Oh, Ultra Mega. Do you know that series?
Yeah. I know it.
James Herron. I'm reading those right now.
Kaiju situation.
Yeah. Those are cool. He's an amazing artist, James Herron. I love his art.
Those they came out and then they suddenly released some new ones to it not too long ago.
Are the new ones out? Yeah, I just have like the first 2 collections sitting by my bed, and I've read them before, but I was like, I want to read these again because the art is so good.
Yeah, there was some. I know he put out several issues, and then suddenly they put like 3 more out or something. I would check on it. You might already have it or not, but I would still check to make sure. For sure.
Yeah. And you mentioned, that you really like supernatural Westerns. This is a prose book, but it's really great. It's called Red Rabbit. Do you know this book?
I know that book. I actually have it, but I haven't read it. But someone else brought it up too about Weird West. So it's a lot of people have been talking about that.
It's phenomenal. It's like a Western, but it has like witch hunters in it and witches and stuff. It's cool. It's really cool. There was a sequel that came out not long ago that was also good, but not quite.
It's got a noose on it, doesn't it? A noose. Yeah. I think it has a noose. Yeah, I need to read those. I've heard a lot about those. I need to check them out. But Weird West, I was a sucker for that. I know. Here's a weird one to keep an eye out. There's a horror fiction book by Gary Oldman and another author. Gary Oldman from Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. It's called Blood Riders. Blood Riders.
Okay.
There was some buzz about it, but I don't know when it's coming out. But if you can find stuff on the search engine about it. And then there was a new Western that's coming out with Billy Zane and some kind of Harley, please quit your squeaking. I have to mute you. The dog making squeaks. And then basically there's a Western movie Billy Zane's in that just came out. It's on bloodydisgusting.com right now. I forget the name of it, but it looks pretty good. It's like a Western Weird West comedy or something. That looks crazy. Okay. The guy from Demon Knight, Billy Zane and Titanic. But so what are some other future projects you're hoping to do in the future?
Yeah, so I mentioned the Quick the Clockwork Knight and the Choose Your Own Adventure stuff. I'm actually actively working on one right now. I mean, the next thing that's going to come out is the fourth installment of Hellhole Quarterly. That's all done. That's just waiting to go. I wanted to get Burnt Out first. Because when I started doing Hellhole Quarterly, all of a sudden like everyone started getting interested in Burnt again, which was nice. But then I like sold out of Burnt, so I was like, oh, I gotta come out with a new edition of Burnt. So Hellhole Quarterly number 4 is coming up, which will wrap up the story arc, the Easy Money story arc that we've been following. There's a strong potential that there'll be more Hellhole stories, but this will wrap up the current story arc. So that's what's coming out next. But what I'm actually working on, and I'm looking over here because I'm going to show you my bulletin board. I'm working on a Choose Your Own Adventure book that is currently titled Murder on the High Seas. So if you can see this is like my crazy bulletin board here where I'm putting up all my pages and making notes and making connections and stuff. Because like I said, it's like a Choose Your Own Adventure, so it's not a straight narrative that you read in normal order. So a lot of the work is, beyond the writing and the drawing, a lot of the work is sort of the mechanics of how you move through the story.
Do you have something you can show for your art to people, like on the camera right now, like something that's a good size that they could see besides that's closer, maybe? Like just any. I just want people to see it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is one of the covers of a Haunted Tower, which is a Choose Your Own Adventure graphic novel. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, bring it back a little, just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Cool.
So you can see that. That shows you a little bit of what my
art is very unique, and that's good. It's not like anything else. I mean, sure, there's influences or whatever, but it's unique. You have a very unique style.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So here's like some of the pages, which you can see. There's like the Copper Knight character making his way through this tower. He's trying to get to the top to rescue his buddy, but like you control the route he takes, and depending on the decisions you make, different things happen, So it's like a game plus a comic put together, and there's like hidden stuff. There's like secret passages and things like that. So it's very involved. And yeah, so I am working on the new one. It's called Murder on the High Seas. It's also Choose Your Own Adventure, but it's a murder mystery. So you need to like move around and find clues and find secrets. And then you have to decide who the murderer is, and you have to like line up evidence and suspects and put them together to get the ending. And I don't know if you're familiar like with the movie Clue, but it's a little bit like that, where there's like multiple endings depending on how you solve the mystery. Like you'll get a different ending.
Yeah, you have some things where you have like a Halloween map. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'd like to get it at some point. Is it like puzzles unlocked? What's going on with some of this stuff? With the puzzles and stuff. You're a game master. You just put out a weird game with alien beings.
Yeah. So I have a card game called Monster Rummy, which is, if you're familiar with Rummy is like a set making game where you're drawing and discarding cards and trying to build a hammer. You can make sets on the table. So it's the same premise, except in Monster Rummy, the sets you build actually make different monsters. So the cards have different like monster parts that you're trying to match up suits and parts and to create different monsters. And there's all kinds of there's aliens, there's cryptids, there's all sorts of monsters in that game for sure. So yeah, like I like games. I like things that are playful, like things that are fun. I like stuff with like the Choose Your Own Adventure stuff. Like I like things that kind of push the medium in kind of unexpected directions.
Yeah, I love Choose Your Own Adventure. I have a lot of the old books. I also saw there's a tarot of that I need to get. The Choose Your Own Adventure tarot deck on Amazon. Just check it out. But yeah, I love that stuff. I love it. There's some weird old ones I have. It's not Choose Your Own Adventure, but they're silver and it's like about time travel. I'd have to go look at the name there in the hallway, but there's a bunch of weird. There's a lot of weird stuff like that. That's Choose Your Own Adventure that you can hunt down. There's like even old D&D ones. I'd love to get those, but they seem expensive. But yeah, there's a lot of weird Choose Your Own Adventure out there.
Yeah, I remember the D&D books that were like solo adventures that you could do. Yeah, they Choose Your Own Adventure is a trademark name, so technically, I can't call my things Choose Your Own Adventure, even though that's what the shorthand, like everyone knows what that means, but like it's not, like written on the book or anything like that.
Got into those Steve Jackson solo books. I have them, but I've never like actually sat down. I'd like to one year. Hopefully I do, but before I croak. But those are interesting. How one book can just give you so many choices. Oh, I have some of the Oregon Trail ones. Like there's some books with Oregon Trail stuff. Yeah. Choose your own adventure. Basically, go to this page if you want to do that. Go to that page if you want to do that. But they keep the book lively, and you can like repeat uses.
Yeah, for sure. And what I'm trying to do with the comics is like I said, kind of build in like mystery and build in like puzzle solving where you can like read a page, then later be like, oh, I need to go back to that because there's like clues there I couldn't find that'll help me later, like that sort of thing.
But yeah, the Steve Jackson ones, I haven't gotten into those, but I also have the Lovecraft ones of that, which I guess you need like a set of dice. I guess mostly it's just weird thinking that you're going to be playing it by yourself, which seems kind of weird and sad at the same time, but I wouldn't care in the long run, but I'll do it one year. But definitely, man, that Kickstarter is a mess. I see Kevin Lafort puts out this newsletter all the time, breaking down like the Kickstarters that are overly AI pornographic, and I don't like those kind of stuff either, but he goes after them like in an attack mode manner. We're going to talk about that when he comes on. And he gets mad about the money situation because those things make $1 gazillion, and then something really creative makes, $2,000 or something, while the other thing made $60,000 because it has boobs that are generated from some Terminator robot.
Yeah, I mean, Kickstarter is interesting because like I said, I was a pretty early adopter. I think it started in 2009. I was on it by 2010, and it was definitely like when you in the early days of Kickstarter, like you stood a better chance of being noticed. Now it's really hard to get noticed. You basically have to like bring your audience to Kickstarter if you want to make any sort of money. So it's tough. So I see lots of cool stuff that just like flies under the radar that people don't know about, that doesn't get funded, that absolutely deserves to get funded. And then, like you said, like certain things seem to hog the attention. Although I've seen a lot of people like really embrace kind of the tits and ass stuff and not gotten the money they thought they were going to get either.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a million covers. Who can afford that unless you're like a lotto winner or something? I'll rarely do variant covers. Like I used to do it more often when I had money, but now I don't do it at all. I'm just good with cover A. But there's a few of them. Like there was one I did not too long ago. Patrick Horath, he did that Beneath the Trees with the animal serial killer.
Oh yeah, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees.
Yeah. He did a cover for Battle KO for DC, and it has that bear putting the needle into Joker's neck, and I had to get that. But that was pretty good. Yeah, that's a crazy little comic, man. It's just so interesting how this medium can bring you into other worlds like that. Your stuff just is like another dimension almost, going into it and seeing all these creations and creatures. And then like the book we just talked about with trees, that's just phenomenal. It's just interesting how comics can draw you into this other world on so many different levels. So what's going on with the alien thing? You got some UFO encounters that you've been through or something?
that I've been through?
Yeah.
No literal UFO encounters. What about you two? Have you guys had UFO experiences?
Yes. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. Wham has, I have. Mine kind of tie into, and I've said this till I'm blue in the face. When I was younger, I had testicular cancer, went through chemo, and then several years later, my dad died. I think it was just so much that trauma opened up doors, and I had a lot of weird UFO experiences with multiple witnesses, and we've been doing it for about 18 years. Wham's seen a lot of weird stuff. She's done whole papers on it in college and stuff, and we've had a lot of the greats on. A lot of them have checked out, like Stanton Friedman, nuclear physicist, Jim Mars, who wrote the JFK book that inspired that Oliver Stone JFK movie. He also did a book that's crazy called Alien Agenda. We've had the legends on, and it's definitely people are croaking like flies lately in this new Trumpelgooch dystopian nightmare that we're in. a lot of horror in this world for sure.
What do you guys make of like the recent news with like the declassified, all that UFO stuff? confirm all your stuff, or do you have suspicions of that?
I think it confirms a lot of it, but you always have to be distrustful of the government, no matter what they're doing, because you just can't trust them. You especially can't trust them right now at all. And now that you have, this was pretty interesting. The Epstein stuff came out in full force. Well, guess who's about to put a big old speech out about UFO disclosure? Take a guess. Mr. Trump is about, he already has the speech written and it's supposed to come out and says he has it authorized with other powers or whatever to disclose. And, you know, it's like, gee, what are you covering up? As far as who knows what they're going to say. But my biggest thing with that is you can't trust the government, rule number one. And rule number two is I've seen UFOs at a level around my home in Georgia. I'm in Florida now at different homes. For some reason, not as bad here. But in Georgia, it was like something was attracting UFOs there, and some kind of military agency came out to monitor it and mockingly showed themselves to me, and it shot away. And I've discussed this till I'm blue in the face, but my biggest thing about the government, there's something here that they don't have control of. They don't, and that's what scares them about it. And you sure can't trust them about it, because I do believe they have crazy programs and like people that have been taken into weird space programs and crazy stuff. We have a guest that's gone through some weird stuff like that, several guests, but they do have agencies that monitor this stuff. And they sent one out to investigate, but he didn't talk to me face to face. He just was in the silent craft over my home, and he goes, and it just shot away. And it looked like Top Gun, like they looked like he had Top Gun stuff on, like from, you know, the Top Gun movies, Air Force stuff or whatever. But my biggest thing is our government, a lot of people have really gone through these experiences and we're a joke. And the government, you know, they're taking it a little bit more serious, but they had the congressional hearings, which was weird. And they have the disclosure stuff with Stephen Bassett and all that stuff. It's interesting. But the big thing is the Pentagon released all these TikTok videos and UFO kind of stuff. And then they had the congressional hearings. And then I swear the Pentagon said something very negative about aliens coming here at all. Like they were looking down upon that theory, like it was not true after they were releasing these videos and the congressional hearings. So it's just like the left hand don't know what the right's doing. It's just, they just seem stupid. or they're up to something, shenanigans.
I wish I had you know, personal UFO stories I could share, but I don't. Maybe I'm just like not paying attention. Maybe I need to look up more when I'm out and about. But I like aliens. I like the aesthetic of aliens. Aliens make their way into my work for sure. I have lots of little
they're cool
everywhere.
They're kind of comedic. You got kind of a comedic flair with them. Like of some comedy, dark comedy maybe, but comedy nonetheless.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's interesting. Well, one of the big things I tell people to keep up with, and I don't want to get into it too deeply, but just to see what's going on with the government and spooks and stuff, those Skinwalker Ranch shows, because there's definitely weirdness going on those on multiple levels with the government being there on the show, and just a lot of weird spookery on those shows. That's creepy. And I think the government's using that show for something. I also don't trust our government and think they throw a fake UFO invasion, especially with Trump in a minute. Let's send some fake aliens down there and, you know, Project Blue Book. Like I don't trust that.
Watchmen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Do you see the new trailer? And I don't know if Wham, you've seen it. Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg. Basically, all these institutions decide to release all the UFO info at one time, and I guess everybody goes crazy like they think we will.
Hey, we're pretty much going crazy now. I know.
It's pretty much that point.
It's pretty much whacked out. I'd be like, aliens. That's it. Okay.
Be a relief at this point.
That's the best we can do. All right.
I'm supposed to go to Alabama Mardi Gras tomorrow. It's like, what? I don't really want to, but I guess I'm going to. Tone Loke's going to be there. Wow, thing on a float. I'm someone that never leaves his house, and I have to go to Alabama Mardi Gras tomorrow. I'm scared. Mommy, help me. But no, there'll be 25,000 people there. I just don't like being around that many people. It worries me. But I said I'd go, so I guess I gotta. it's cool, but I just don't like there's points where you're crushed by people. Like there's so many, you're like against the wall going, ah. And plus I start getting paranoid about, plagues and stuff. So it's they're saying there's a new one in India with bats or something going on. Some kind of new something. Have you heard about that, Wham? Some kind of new plague with bats?
No. I can't keep track of all the disasters. We're like right in the middle of the end times, I mean, I can't really. I have to pick and choose, like which plague I'm gonna pay attention to.
The biggest thing is with the Trump stuff is just how there are certain people that are looking at it like it's completely normal, like it's just like Ronald Reagan or something, when it's the craziest thing ever. It's like it's Ronald Reagan eating jelly beads to them. It's not. It's insane is what it is. I went over the edge. I was already over the edge with it, but Greenland, that's when I was like, what? We're in another alternate reality. You're going to attack the white people now? What's going on? But it's just crazy. I can't keep up with it. It's scary. It really is scary. But so any paranormal in there? What happens when you die, man?
I don't know. I have had people read like Hellhole and read Burnt, like think it's like my like religious statement or whatever, and I'm like, and all due respect to whatever people believe, but as far as I'm concerned, like hell's a mythical place, right? And Satan's like a mythical thing. So it's all just for me, it's all just sort of like an imaginative play. Like the reason I write so many stories in hell is because like I don't like drawing people. Like I'd much rather draw demons and monsters than people.
Yeah.
And that's why
the earth kind of seems like hell if you.
Yeah.
It's like so many.
But that's why like the architecture and everything is all super funky in all my comics, because I make it like really kind of weird and organic. And just sort of bizarre, because I find that a lot more interesting than sort of like literal realism in my art.
I've interviewed Alex Gray before.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that is right. The dude with the no skin art from Tool.
No, I've gone to Alex. I live about 30 miles from Alex Gray's house and have been to his have been to several workshops at his place and have met the man personally, so several times.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, it's just he lives he lives in it's kind of like a complex. It's both a home and a gallery, and kind of an event space, and it's
Cool.
it's called, I can't remember now what it's called, like Cosmo something, Mirror Magic or something. I can't even remember. He's changed the title of the place a couple of times, but yeah, it's just down here in Wappingers, which is literally like, I don't know, 30 miles from my house. So
awesome.
What are the workshops? Like what specifically?
Oh, he's done all kinds of things, because he's an eccentric guy. So there have been times when they've done seasonal things. Like for a while they were doing kind of, I guess, sort of theatrical ritual presentations of the pagan seasons, like May Day and Halloween, that kind of thing. And they've also done, they've had different artists there. They've had, the last time I was there was a few years ago. It was a little bit before the pandemic. I don't know if you know who Damien Eccles is. Damien Eccles. Damien Eccles was one of the Memphis Three.
Yeah.
That he was the guy who was the oldest of the Memphis Three. If you don't know who the Memphis Three they were three teenagers, and this was back in the early 1990s when the Satanic Panic was going on. And they basically were accused and convicted on extremely flimsy evidence of the murders of two young boys. down in Arkansas. It's there's a part of Arkansas that is like I can't remember what the name of the town is, but they called them the Memphis Three because the town that they lived in is in a Memphis suburb of Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis is right on the border, but they were on the Arkansas side, and the oldest of the three was Damien Eccles, and he was actually sentenced to death. So he spent 15 years on death row, and in pretty horrific conditions. And what's interesting is that an HBO film crew, while the trial was going on, an HBO film crew decided that they would go down and just film the proceedings because it had gotten a lot of publicity, like there were all these satanic, there was this claim that there were all these satanic, these murders had been done for a satanic ritual. And it was just basically that Damien Eccles himself, he was kind of he didn't come from a great family background. And so he was a little bit of what in my generation would call a hood and kind of a punk. And he wore black and listened to Metallica. Basically those were his crimes. Right. And what happened was when HBO filmed the proceedings, it became very clear. The film crew went down without any preconceptions. They were listening to the rest of the media. That's why they went down there to begin with, because it was the sensationalistic case. But as they were filming, they realized that these kids were probably innocent, that it was just like it was crazy. And so they went ahead and just showed it on HBO, and it just caused this, it took a long time to get them out of prison, but they finally were able to free them. And there was also new forensic work that was done on the site. And they discovered that, there was actually nothing physical linking any of these kids to, or they were now young men, obviously, to the crime scene. What had happened basically was that the youngest of the three, and he was, I think, only 13 or 14 when this happened. So he was like a minor anyway, but he was an individual who was a special needs person. And, they interrogated him. First of all, they interrogated him illegally. They interrogated him without his parents present because he was a minor. And because he, did not have all of his mental faculties there, they basically coerced a confession out of him. But even when you look at the transcript of the confession, it's very clear that the details of the murder that he's giving don't actually match what was found. It was really egregious, basically. So Damien Eccles, he survived on death row by developing himself spiritually. He practiced Zen Buddhism, and he also was very interested in ceremonial magic. And he kind of developed his own system, essentially. Well, when he was let out, it was maybe about 9 months after he was let out, he did a presentation at Alex Gray's place. Because I had been following the case at that point for well over a decade. And I was able to go and, talk to him a little bit and kind of interact with other people there, and let him just sort of talk about, he didn't really want to talk about his experience. He was still, after 15 years on death row, much of that in solitary confinement, off and on, you can imagine that it's going to take a while to kind of come back to reality, from that. So he was still he was still wearing, he still had to wear sunglasses outside because the just regular sunlight really affected his eyes because of how he'd been kept in semi-darkness for such a long time. And he had lost a lot of his voice, so he was still getting his voice back. You could really see the effects of that kind of incarceration on him. But so he didn't really want to talk about, the negative parts of it at all, because he was still processing all that. But he did want to talk about what had helped, the positive things, and that, the support. He wanted to talk about, the support that he'd gotten, and that kind of stuff. He wanted to talk about positive stuff. But he's written 2 or 3 books since then, where he's been talking more about his experiences and the kind of spiritual magical system that he developed kind of inside of himself in order to survive. But so yeah, that all that stuff happens down there at Alex Gray's place.
Cool. So he's got some stuff on Sounds True, that Damien guy that he put out.
Oh yeah, no, he's an interesting guy. I mean, he is. I mean,
I requested an interview, but they didn't answer back. But that happens a lot lately with stuff. But I could try again sometime, maybe. But I don't know. We've been watching a lot of these like YouTube channels, like Slap Ham and Mystery Man, the ones that show like paranormal and like tunneling incidents or hunting incidents, or these different things that are caught. And one of the creepiest things lately that I'm noticing a lot is on the missing people, or when people get murdered. There's like a bunch of crazy ones where you're just like chilling at a national park with your girlfriend or whatever, and then some nut like just goes Zodiac killer. And like there's a lot of cases like that where some nut at some park just like starts, killing you, like Jason Voorhees or something, but a lot less cooler than that. So it's just, those are creepy just to think, what is it with a national park? There's already creepy stuff about national parks with the missing people and all that stuff. But I've just noticed lately in a lot of those videos, whoa, y'all better chill, that there's a lot of crazy people that go nutty at a park and kill you, like the Zodiac killer. So just be careful in national parks. Me, I just don't leave the house. That's must have to go to the mailbox. Now I can't even do that. But anyway, Edgar. All right. Well, everybody make sure you check out Burnt, a Hellhole prequel on Kickstarter. And you're gonna make it. You always make it. So that's good. I think you got a little ways to go, don't you? No, you got a while, so you're gonna do fine.
Yeah, it's in its first week. The goal is 4,000. Last I looked, it was like 3,300. So it's close. I feel pretty good about it making it, but the goal is always to reach as many people as possible. So I appreciate you having me on the show for sure. And I would encourage people to please check it out.
You got a link, like a website or anything you want to give out to? We got a little while, but I just want to make sure everybody gets.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you go to Kickstarter, you can search Burnt, or you can search Thane Benson. It'll show right up. Or the short link I made is tinyurl.com/burntogn. So BURNTOGN. Or if you go to thanebenson.com, it's on the front page of my website. We'll take you straight there.
And do you plan to just keep doing it like this, or would you one day want a title under a big banner or something like that? Is that a dream, or are you good the way it is? Because I hear that's even more work, probably working for one of those, like a slave, probably like in the pyramids.
Well, when you say a big banner, you're talking about like a publisher? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like DC.
Yeah. So it's interesting because like when I started, I always thought like the road to success is like getting a major publisher to pick you up or whatever and champion you, and that's how you make like actual money doing comics or doing writing or art or whatever. But kind of much to my surprise, like at some point I was like, oh, I'm actually making okay money just self-publishing, and I never thought that was a viable way of like making a living, but it is. Like as weird as this world is, and as crappy as the internet is, like one of the good things about kind of living today is that you really anyone can really sort of have like international reach, even like very niche, very kind of like small time stuff can do pretty good because you can reach a very wide audience. So like I make comics full time. I make comics and games full time. Like it's my job. I quit my day job a few years ago, and like this is what I do like all the time. And it's great. And like it's not like I'm not like rich. It's not like that great. but I make a living doing it. And I've done stuff with publishers. I mean, I've done freelance stuff for other people, and I've signed deals with publishers for certain things, but I have not had good luck with publishers. I've had things under contract for years that like never got produced. I've had a lot of sort of bad experiences with publishers, and I know, and I have friends who are creatives too, who have good experiences with mainstream publishers. So it runs the gamut. But my experience has not been good with publishers or with working with other people. I mean, I've had good experiences, but overall, as far as like taking something that's mine, that belongs to me, and then signing some kind of a deal with whoever to get distribution wherever, like it never seems to work out well. like the times I have worked with publishers, I've made like pennies compared to like the living I make self-publishing stuff. And maybe I'm working with the wrong publishers, and I'm still open to the idea of working with publishers, but I think at this point, like I'm very happy where I'm at, and I wouldn't, even if I signed a new deal with somebody else on something new, I would make part of my deal being like, and I can self-publish it because I know that works and I know how to make money doing that.
Definitely, it's what you're doing good, and you're seem like you're successful at this with self-publishing. I was looking at the Clockwork Knight. It's pretty interesting, but I wasn't sure exactly how to jump on board that train. Like as far as like where do you start with Clockwork Knight? It looks amazing, but
yeah. So there's lots of kind of iterations.
It's not as bad as Spider-Man, but
there's lots of iterations of the Clockwork Knight, but all the separate little series are all self-contained, right? The separate graphic novels and stuff. So you can literally jump in anywhere. If I was going to recommend one, I'd recommend Haunted Tower. That's the one I'm most proud of. Other than Murder on the High Seas, my bulletin board over there. That's going to be my new, because that's my newest one. That's what I'm going to be most proud of when it finally comes out. But Haunted Tower is what I recommend to people. I think it's super fun. It's a choose your own adventure. It's interactive. And you don't have to read any other Clockwork Knight stuff for it to make any sense. But if you want to go back to the beginning of Clockwork Knight,
there's a trade paperback, isn't there? That's a trade.
Yeah, so Origins collects all the earliest Clockwork Knight stuff plus some new stuff. So this is like
art. Show us some art, please, if you can, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So here we go. Can you see that?
Look at that. It looks amazing. Yeah.
So it's kind of, he's kind of like a little steampunky robot knight guy, but it's kind of what it's got monsters and adventure and sword and sorcery kind of stuff. But yeah, it's got kind of like cool detailed art. So this is the first book. If you technically want to read the earliest adventures of the Clockwork Knight, it's the one called Origins. That's the newest. But you can read any of them, and I experiment a lot with it where I do like full on graphic novels, and then I'll even do like 1-page comics and kind of like weird fold out.
The Halloween one, and then you have, is it like a maze or a labyrinth or something?
Yeah, so there's, here, let me grab it. So there's one right over here. This is the if I can reach it. This is the Halloween house. This was a recent one, and this is me playing with different formats, right? So this is like a big newsprint comic.
Yeah.
So it's like a single broadsheet, right? So it's like four big pages, but it like tells an entire story. So it's me playing around with different formats and stuff. But like you can like read this and it's its own little adventure. Like you don't need to read the other.
Can you do most of your stuff on computer or by hand?
It's kind of a mashup. I used to draw everything in pencil first, like every single thing, and then I would typically, quote unquote, ink it on the computer, like using like a Apple Pencil on a tablet kind of thing. These days I'm doing more stuff kind of straight on the computer, just because it's a little quicker. So it's good because I'm producing more stuff that way, but what's not great about it is I don't have like original art. Like it's really nice to have original art, and it's especially just as like a financial consideration to have that like secondary market of like reselling stuff that you've worked on. And I don't really have that because now I'm more or less fully digital. but a lot of my older stuff goes back to pen and ink, goes back to like watercolor and stuff like that. Um, but there's a speed and a convenience to digital that's kind of hard to beat. Although, I still do commissions. I still do like paintings and drawings for people that that are analog, right? That are ink and paint on paper. Um, so yeah. I mean, I do it all, but most of the stuff you see these days that makes it into a book is typically digitally drawn. But it's still drawn. It's still with my hand and a pencil. I'm not like typing in I can't even say it, chat GPT or whatever. Like I still draw it with my hand.
Is there anything you do to preserve your hands? I've been on a computer since Commodore 64 and have arthritis, and I always relate to the comic artists, which are probably worse than me, some of the older guys that have been doing this stuff. I mean, it messes with your hands. Mine are hurting right now from working. I work at home.
Yeah, for sure. No, I've had like tendonitis and stuff in my wrists, so I do have to take care of that. Like I do have a whole like exercise routine I do for my wrists. My drawing table, which I don't even see, it's back there anyway. But like the older I get, the more I like incline my drawing table as much as possible. That like really helps. Like drawing flat like this is really not good for your wrist at all. But kind of like drawing like this is much better for your body.
We had Ricardo Delgado on. You're familiar with him? He did a lot of dinosaur things for Dark Horse. Some dinosaur.
Oh, yeah. What was that? Age of Reptiles? Is that him?
Yeah. I want to get those one year. Those look amazing. But he's doing some new Vampire Dracula stuff that is by Clover Press. There's something going right now on Kickstarter that's called, I'd have to look it up, but Vampire something. And he basically does like crazy. The art is amazing, but it's like a Dracula story.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, I would have to dig it out, but I definitely have Age of Reptiles over there in my bookshelf.
Yeah,
that stuff is awesome for sure.
What is that exactly? I was eyeballing them, and it's very expensive to try to gather them as separate issues. Maybe one year, but is there like text in it, or is it just like?
No, they're silent. They're amazing. They're like silent comics where you kind of like follow the dinosaur kind of going through this whole thing, and then like another dinosaur will eat them, and then you follow that dinosaur doing different things. like they're wild comics. They're really great.
Yeah, the art's really good. Maybe you'll do an omnibus one day.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that's the point I'm at. Like you do all these single issues, and the next thing you know, you can build your own house out of comic book boxes. So then you're like, maybe I should just wait for the omnibus, and you start doing that. Then you just end up doing both.
Right. Yeah.
And, it gets crazy. And that's the other thing, keeping up with titles like Spider-Man or Superman or something or Batman. There's just so many. It's like you have a panic attack trying to keep up with any of it. I guess that's why I like the omnibuses.
For sure. I rarely buy like even though I grew up buying floppy comics, I still have thousands of them over here in my studio. Like I rarely buy floppies these days. It's mostly like collections that I buy or I go to the library because I'm running out of space on my bookshelf. So I try to get stuff out from the library. But I'll buy floppies from like independent creators if I see people making cool stuff. I do try to buy stuff from artists.
And so I guess Big Moonshine Bigfoot, how did you get it? You just knew the guy, right? And then you got into it. Was that anything that led to anything else, or was it in one episode, one issue?
It was one issue that I was in. Yeah, it's a 4-issue miniseries. I'm in issue number 2 is my little comic. Has it led to anything? It hasn't really led to anything else. Although when it came out, like people started like posting it and stuff. And I was like, oh, it's out. Like I worked on it for like a while, and it was supposed to be an issue 1, then it got pushed back to issue 2, and whatever. And that whole series sort of got delayed. I mean, it's all out now, but it came out much later than they originally expected. So from the time I worked on it to the time it came out was like a good kind of lapse of time, and I sort of forgot about it. And I was like, is my comic really going to come out in this comic? And then it did, which was exciting. Like people started posting things online. They're like, hey, like people who knew my weird independent work who also like bought that book were like, hey, you're in this book. I was like, yeah, I am in that book. And it took me a while to get some copies of it too, so I didn't physically see it. But I did have the experience of like going into the comic book store, and they had the comic out. They were like promoting it, and I was like, "Hey, I'm in that. I've worked in that comic." So that was fun to like see a book, on the shelf in the store. It was actually I live in Denver, Colorado now, but I grew up in Ithaca, New York, and I was back home visiting, and they were pushing that book because one of the guys who works on it lives in that area. So they were giving it like a hard push, and I was like, oh, that's the book I'm in. So it was fun to see it on the shelf in the shop I grew up going to as a kid buying comics. You know what I mean? To like see a comic that has, you know, granted it's one page that's mine, right? But it is one page that I wrote and drew, and you know, and colored and lettered and whatever. So it was cool to have that experience, to see it on the shop and then buy it. Like I bought it for my niece while I was home. I was like, oh, I'm going to buy you this comic because I have one page in it. So that was cool. And even though it's only one page, now I include Image Comics in my bio. Like I wrote for an Image comic. I wrote and drew for an Image comic.
It brought some people, maybe looked up your name and found your other stuff, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. That's the hope.
I still need to read Moonshine Bigfoot, but I like the premise. I have it. I just haven't read it.
It's pretty great. I mean, it touches, I feel like all the things you like. Everything you've mentioned tonight that you're into is in this book, for sure.
And he's just like a Bigfoot moonshine maker or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the short version is it's sort of Dukes of Hazzard, but with Bigfoot. But it's got UFOs. It's got like everything in it.
Nice. Sounds great. I know there's one that I got too. I haven't read yet. Bigfoot Knows Karate. That guy's on Kickstarter. He has one. It's like
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Kung Fu epic Bigfoot. There's a lot of weird Bigfoot ones. There's another one that's a weird one's Frankenstein. There's a lot of weird Frankenstein stuff. There's a Punisher Frankenstein, like a
Frankencastle. I've heard that. Yeah. That one's weird.
There's a Frankenstein Norse called, God, I have it, but I forgot the name of it. Helm something. It's a Norse word with the HEM something. I'd have to look it up, but it's a you could probably look it up, Frankenstein Norse comic, but basically Helheim. That's it, Helheim, and it's got Frankenstein in a Norse situation with Vikings. And there's two parts to it. Yeah. Frankenstein.
Oh, are you familiar with Richard Corbin's art?
What has he done? I've heard the name, but
he died a couple of years ago. But he's kind of like an old timey, like independent comics, or even like underground comics sort of guy. But like heavy metal, there was a lot of Richard Corbin stuff in heavy metal.
Okay, yeah,
he's associated with that. But he did a Bigfoot comic that was pretty great. I'm trying to remember the title. Somebody else wrote it. Sometimes he writes and draws his own stuff. But he's like a big horror guy. Like I said, he died a few years ago. He's no longer with us. But he
the Rob Zombie one, was it? Might have been I know there was a Rob Zombie weird. Yeah. No, yep. It's called Bigfoot. It came out in 2005. It's by Steve Niles, Rob Zombie, and Richard Corbin.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yes.
That's the one I mentioned earlier, and I have those. Definitely.
Okay, yeah.
Crazy. Like what House? I haven't read them, but there's a lot of comics I have like that. But House of a Thousand Corpses meets Bigfoot, so it sounds like. But I don't know. I don't really.
Yeah, it's super bloody. It's like, I mean, I'm not a Bigfoot expert, but it's the bloodiest Bigfoot I've ever read.
I would think Bigfoot would be hard to draw. Like just keeping up with every panel, you know, the hair and all that. It seems like it'd be hard, doesn't it? That's a hard one to draw, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, you could cover a lot up with the hair, though. You could get away with a lot with just lots of hair.
And I have a Bigfoot book that's done by the art. The cover's done by Bobby Beausoleil, one of Charlie Manson's goons.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty. Andy knows him somehow. The guy that wrote it with me. I don't know any of them, and I don't think any of them are like cool or anything. Charlie Manson. Charlie Manson, so cool. Ooh, I want to like people wearing Charlie Manson shirts. I don't know if they think he's cool or if they just it's kind of grotesque, but anyway, he did the art for it. It's pretty cool though. If you ever get a chance, you can look it up. It's called Praise for the Hairy Man: The Secret Life of Bigfoot. But the art's on Amazon. But the art is amazing.
Okay,
really good.
Oh, you mean the Bobby Beausoleil?
Yeah. That art. Andy said he paid him in the commissionary. I hope he did. But
Wham! Earlier you were talking about Alex Gray's house and how it's kind of like a museum / like event.
It's like a gallery kind of.
Gallery, yeah. So that made me think. Like earlier this week, on Monday I went to go visit a guy's house whose house is also his business place slash art gallery. He's like a big art collector, but he's a guy who it's Proposition Press is the name of the company, but he makes pop-up books. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jim Mahfood's work. Do you know this guy? So Jim Mahfood's a comic book creator. He does sort of like these like hip hop inspired kind of pretty funky art stuff. He did like, if you know Tank Girl, he did a bunch of Tank Girl stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, he made a pop-up book of his stuff. The reason I met with this guy is we were talking about doing some work together, doing potentially a pop-up book together. But anyway, I wanted to show you guys this stuff just because it's like,
I love pop-up books. They're rare.
Like,
some cool
it's
ones.
Like insane. This is like a whole like what do you call it? Hunter S. Thompson thing going on here.
Yeah. It's Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah. And then there's like here's Tank Girl. I don't know if you're familiar with Tank Girl, but there's Tank Girl.
I am.
But this is he just had cool stuff, and he had a lot of original art on his walls. Lots of like modern artists, like just like weird, interesting.
You could do some crazy stuff with your art and pop-up books.
Yeah, I mean that's the idea. But yeah, his house, like I said, had art everywhere, which is cool. He had a lot of Jim Mahfood original art. He had a lot of kind of like current artists, kind of like street artists, graffiti artists type stuff. But his house was also a little bit of a, he obviously had all his work there, and he showed me like his workshop where he built stuff.
Yeah.
He used to hand make all his pop-up stuff. Now he like builds it, prototypes it out, and sends it to China, and they mass produce it. But he started by like hand assembling all the books himself.
How do you do that? I've always wondered with the pop-up books. There's a crazy Walking Dead one I have that's nuts. A pop-up book with Walking Dead, but there's a bunch of cool ones with Frankenstein, like the Dracula olds I've seen on Amazon. I want those look really good, but I just wonder that's got to be a big pain in the ass making those. You have to cut it out yourself, and
I mean a lot goes into them, and like even though they're mass produced in China, it's still people making them by hand. It is very labor intensive. But the other thing I was going to say is his house is also like a pop-up museum where he's just got walls and walls of every kind of pop-up book you could think of. So we were talking about like different things we could do, and he was like pulling stuff off the shelf and like showing me all these different things.
He's like the
It was
pop-up,
really cool.
like the pop-up king.
Yeah.
Have you met any more weird celebrity people?
Are you familiar with what's his name? The Enigma? Do you know that dude?
Is that
I've heard of the Enigma.
He's like a freak show guy. His entire body is covered in like jigsaw puzzle tattoos.
Yes.
He was the very first guy to get the horn implants, so he's got those.
Right. Yeah.
And he's got his tongue cut up, and his the whites of his eyes are tattooed.
Like a reptilian, right? Like a reptilian.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
A little bit, yeah. He was on the X-Files. He was in an episode of the X-Files. Yeah. He used to live in Denver, and I would see him at different art shows, different like horror and comic book shows. He would show up, and for whatever reason, he like took a liking to my art. So it's pretty funny because he would always come by and talk to me, and he would like buy my stuff. He's a really nice guy, the Enigma. But it's funny like having a conversation with him because you're like the weirdest person in the world that I'm like face to face with, who has all this strange stuff going on. But he's sort of like a cult icon that I got to know. He's since moved away from Denver, but he still comes back sometimes for shows. So I still run into him. But he's a nice guy, and he does like freak show stuff where he like hammers nails into his face and stuff.
Yeah. I'm looking him up. I've seen him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I just looked it up. Alex Gray, the complex. It's on 40 acres. He basically purchased an estate in Wappingers, and so it's got several buildings. And the Gatehouse building, it's not where he lives. He lives in a separate dwelling on the property. But that houses the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. That's what I was thinking of, or COSM as he calls it. And that's like got a huge gallery in it. That's also, it's got an event area in it. So, and then when there are events, there's also a concession area with artisanal but extremely overly priced items that you can purchase. He lets different vendors come in to do that when it happens. But yeah, these very large paintings are permanently displayed. And the gallery itself is referred to, the entire building is referred to as the Chapel of Sacred Mirrors. They have rituals and stuff in there, but the gallery itself is called the Enthean. So.
And isn't there some kind of cover with Tool? I was looking it up. I can't find it right now, so maybe I shouldn't just
a cover with Tool for what?
The band Tool. I know he did a bunch of Tool covers.
You mean like
the band Tool.
Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about in terms
of. Somewhere I heard a story that somewhere in that art, and maybe someone correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a weird painting that he did of someone giving themselves fellatio.
It's quite possible because he has.
And that's where the Marilyn Manson weird took his rib out and did blah 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 stuff. Rumor happened that it ties into Maynard and Tool, but it's not true. None of it's true. And I think they said Manson made it up just to be trying to be funny to someone or something. But there is something about a hidden weird thing in that somewhere. I tried to look it up, but I got.
Here it is. I just looked it up. Tool's music. The band discovered Gray's artwork, found it to be a compliment to their music. This was back in the 1990s, and there was an article on the website. The Gold Eggs Emporium, where they talk about the collaboration between Tool and Alex Gray. So
we talked about that in the written interview.
All you have to do is start like Googling this stuff, and it pops up. There's also like, there's like actually on a subreddit about Tool, they talk about it. So Reddit's a good place to find that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I've been asking ChatGPT a lot of stuff recently. They can help you hunt down stuff on the internet.
Yeah, it can help you hunt down stuff. You just have to really be careful checking your sources, because it just basically eats whatever sources are given to it. And so some sources can be good and some sources are like, well,
And where is that from? I just asked, is there a Tool album with a cover of someone giving themselves self-fellatio by Alex Gray? And it said no, but I swear I've heard that somewhere. But I may be wrong. It may be something else that I'm thinking of. But I could have.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has something like that for a couple of reasons. The first is that he has several pictures that depict different sex acts, done in his style.
There's something with it, but for some reason.
And secondly, he's a Vajrayana practitioner, and Vajrayana is all about Mahamudra and containing your own chi. I mean, there's so
trying to search for it, the internet's not very friendly. It throws up naughty porn images.
Well, not only that, that just simply means it doesn't know, and so it's hallucinating. It's just grabbing stuff.
I need it to be mind wiped.
Yeah,
like
I think if you type self-fellatio, you shouldn't be surprised at what you
yeah.
There's a crazy thing that happened with Peter Still and Typo Negative. Some woman at my job where my dad worked came up to me, and I'm a heterosexual man, and she comes up to me and she just shows me this like picture of him butt naked with his slang in some magazine, and it's the guy from Typo Negative. It's like, I never needed to see that. I love Typo Negative. I don't love Typo Negative that much. And that haunts me. It's like a haunting penis from Peter Steele from Beyond the Grave.
So whenever you hear that deep voice, you can't not.
You just see this big schlong, or whether it was a big schlong or not, you just see this
music. I love their music. I didn't want to see his penis. No. But anyway, what's some necromancy here? We've had whole conversations about Napoleon's penis, and it's in a jar somewhere. Oh, I got this crazy book about Rasputin by this dude that like did the whole Rasputin story, like historical book. and they're supposed to tell me if he's coming on, but they send you the book and then they like don't say anything about coming on. So I guess they're like, well, he's not coming on, so here's a free book. But the same thing happened with the Frank Miller book. There's a new Frank Miller book by the guy Batman, Superman, all that stuff, and 300. He just wrote a new biography, and I'm like, good, I'll have Frank Miller on. And then they send you the book, and you're like, well, what about Frank Miller being on? And no one's responding. There's probably so many people asking is the problem. It's probably they have a limit. But maybe one day. We've had Neil Donald Walsh conversations with God, and I'm still surprised he's been on twice. But Samuel Chong is coming on again in May, and he's trying to get his book, I always have trouble saying it. The Thea prophecy is about a Chinese dude being taken by aliens, a true story. But he's trying to get it on the New York Times best-selling list right now. I'm helping him with some promotion stuff with it. But what's going on with let's see, what about TV shows? Like right now, sometimes we get into these subjects. We'll end at about 5 till, but some of the craziest stuff I've seen lately, Pluribus. That was really good by the Breaking Bad guy. I don't know if you saw that. It's kind of like an Invasion of the Body Snatcher thing. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, but everyone's talking about that show now. Like I gotta get back on Apple TV so I can see it.
Apple TV has a lot of good stuff on it.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I mean,
like, damn, I gotta watch all this stuff.
Good documentaries. Oh, and let us not forget in our thinking about people who have died. Bud Cort died.
Oh yeah,
yesterday. And if you don't, do you know Thane who Bud Cort was?
I don't think so. Who
Bud Cort was the actor who played. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Harold and Maude, but he played Harold. You need to see Harold and Maude.
Really weird movie.
He need to play. He was in a number of other things, but what I most remember him in, it's what he's most remembered for is playing Harold and Maude. But he also played a form of God in that wonderful movie Dogma. Which has just been, after 25 years, has just been re-released on Blu-ray, and it is fabulous. It was not available for a really long time because the producer of the film, or the guy who directed and wrote the film, had a falling out with Harvey Weinstein, and this was like years ago before
Kevin Smith did.
Yeah, Kevin Smith had a falling out with Weinstein because of what Weinstein does. And he knew it way back then. But but the problem was that Weinstein had produced the show, had financed it, so he had the rights, and it took Kevin Smith all this time and the garbage that has happened since to get that movie back. I think what happened was, what I understand happened is that, they had to, in order to pay for his legal stuff, they had to sell, they had to dump a bunch of his holdings. And so Kevin Smith got it back. So they remastered it and it's available now. And I purchased it. You can get it streaming or on Blu-ray, and it's like especially now, it's like the most appropriately hilarious film ever. It's so good, Is
Bud Cort like the old god who gets beat up at the very beginning?
At the very beginning, but by these, he's playing shuffleboard,
right?
And these 3 kids who are kind of like, baby demons beat him up. And then, of course, God reappears at the end as Alanis Morissette.
Right. Harold and Maude is a very weird movie, like in the 70s with a hearse, and he like tries to kill himself and does pranks, and then he hooks up with this older lady.
Well, he pretends to kill himself because he's so depressed, and it's because he's tormenting his mother. That's part of what it is.
It's really weird, doesn't he? Doesn't he end up banging that older lady? Don't they?
Well, it's not that he's banging that old lady. What ends up happening is they end up they start out just as friends, and then they do it one evening. But that's like it's not like he's banging her. I can tell like it's like this.
There's a movie called Brewster McCloud he's in that I want to see.
Yeah, that's a good movie too, actually. That's another funny movie. And he always played these funny, quirky people, what I mean? Just really kind of off the wall. But there's my favorite scene, my absolutely favorite scene in any movie is in Harold and Maude, where his mom is like telling him that I think it's after he has like successfully scared off like 3 prospective women that his mother got him to try to date, something like that. And she's gonna send him to military school to his uncle, whatever, and he will sort you out. And she's just kind of looking at him, and at some point he just pans and he breaks the fourth wall and looks right at the camera with this smirk on his face. It's just hilarious. It's perfect. The timing is perfect because he's going to destroy whatever is going on with his uncle. And he does. He manages to do it.
It's a good one.
It's a great film.
That's those things I think about some of these classic movies that you love, and is there going to be holographic copies in the afterlife? Probably not. So you're like, if I watch this, is it going to be the last time I watch it? Like Excalibur, that's one of my favorite movies ever with John Boorman. Another one, those Hobbit cartoons with Ralph Bakshi and all those, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. I could watch those. I first saw that Lord of the Rings cartoon tripping on shrooms or something at a friend's house. And now I could watch that a million times. I could watch Excalibur a million times. I love that one. There's actually a new a new King Arthur series called the Pendragon Cycle, The Return of Merlin or something like that. It's supposed to be pretty good. I need to check it out. But it's by the guy that just did Stephen Lawhead, I think, just did that new Spartacus House of Asher, which was actually pretty good. It was really good, especially when the dude was throwing little dwarf people on spikes in the gladiator pit. He threw dwarfs. The dwarfs were mean, though.
Yeah,
they were mean dwarfs. They killed his man lover, and he's got revenge and threw him on spikes. And then it had chicks fighting, which I actually looked that up. That was a real thing with Rome. Like, it wasn't often, but they did have that sometimes with women fighting. There's like a Nubian warrior and some blonde Amazon that is pretty good, but you have to watch the old Spartacus. But it's definitely good. The battles are really good, but you got to be careful. There's a lot of boobage. And those Romans are always like having orgies and stuff, like, really. And then they have the gladiator battles and stuff. But what's some movies of yours like that like what I named with Excalibur and Hobbit, things that you'd have to watch if you knew you were going to croak tomorrow? What's a movie like? Damn, I need to watch that again.
I mean, the one movie I find myself watching again and again is probably The Princess Bride. Like, I like that movie a lot. That's one I've seen probably more than any other movie. A close second's probably Army of Darkness. It's a favorite of mine.
Army of Darkness is so funny. Oh my god, it's so funny. That reminds me, I need to rewatch it. It's so funny. Oh my god, they're just these like epic scenes that I remember from it. Him trying to say necktie.
It's pretty great. And actually, when I was straight out of college, my very first job was working for McFarlane Toys.
Oh, really?
Really? Yeah. And they do a lot of sort of comic book and sort of pop culture stuff. And I worked on some Army of Darkness toys, so that was really fun. Cool. To do that.
I have those movie maniacs with Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah. That's the series I'm talking about. Yeah, they had Ash in one of those series, and they had Evil Ash. I worked on Evil Ash.
Awesome.
That was a cool job.
How did you do it? You just did the art for it, and they did
well,
the toy art?
Yes. So I mean, there's a bunch of different departments, right? So I was in the painting department, right? So people would do like they do drawings, would basically design the toys. Then the sculptors would sculpt the toys. Then the casting department would cast the toys. The machining department would like build mechanical things for the toys, and then it would come to us, the painting department, and we would paint the toy prototypes.
Wow.
So it was fun though, because we would like watch the movies, whatever we were working on. I remember watching like that was the first time I ever saw like Hellraiser or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like I had to watch all those movies because I was working on toys for all those movies. There's a lot of like blood splatter, right, on those toys.
It's a trip having to watch those for your job.
yeah. I mean, I was like, this is cool. I get to watch Hellraiser, and it's like my job. But yeah, so I wouldn't paint like the actual toys that people would buy. I would paint the prototypes, and we'd paint 2 of everything. And one would go to the photography department, and that was used for promotional stuff. And this could all be different now. This is a while ago. And the other one would get shipped to China, and they'd use it as a model, and they would mass produce it based on the model. Yeah. So I was in the painting department. At the time I was there was like 3 of us painting all these toy prototypes.
That's cool. I collect Vlad and the Impaler and Nosferatu figures. There's weird ones out there that I come across. Some of them are too much, but like $3,000 for one or something I'll never buy. But there are a lot of Nosferatus that have been good by Nika.
Have you read the new comic by Matt Wagner and Kelly Jones, the new Dracula comic?
Yes. I have those. in the hardcovers. Those are amazing.
Before I was like, what's sitting by my desk or my nightstand that I read at night, and then that volume 2 of that series is sitting there. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm going to be reading that very soon.
There's some really old cool Topps comics of Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula.
Oh yeah, those are Mike Mignola.
Yeah,
for sure.
There was one with Frankenstein War. There's another one about Vlad. Like there's some, I try to find weird Vlad comics too. There's some weird ones out there. There's one by Image called Impaler or something that had 2 different series, but there's some weird ones that are good. But I'm a sucker for that Norse stuff, and you can find a lot of weird, not Norse stuff on Kickstarter too. Like it's not the easiest to find sometimes, but there's some artists on there that do Norse comics that are really good. But definitely, so what shows were you talking about? If you haven't seen Pluribus, let me tell you what Pluribus, without giving too much of it away. Basically, it's by the guy that did Breaking Bad, and anything he does is usually amazing. We know Better Call Saul and all that stuff. And basically, something happens with I don't know if it's a virus or something, but basically all the humans become one collective except like 11 people. So the people are like one weird collective, one mind, and they can still go back to their old personality, but they're like one hive mind. But there are certain individuals who did not get made that way, and that hive mind wants to convert them. It gets crazy. Like there's a guy that at a podium, like at the White House or something, and he's like, well, this is the only body I can find. This is the agriculture guy, because the other guys died. And he's basically that whole collective talking to that woman through the screen of the TV. And he calls her, and it's like on TV, like you would see a news conference, and he's just talking to her through the TV. But it's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It gets really weird, but it's good. It's good. The lady from Breaking Bad's in it, the blonde lawyer, Better Call Saul, her Seahorn's her last name or something, Rita Seahorn or something like that. But she does a good job, but it gets crazy for sure. And then the Spartacus House of Asher was really good. I mean, I would think I would had concerned feelings about it, but it actually has good reviews, and it was good. But anything else you've been catching that's good?
Yeah, this isn't like brand new, but just recently I started watching Severance. Have you seen Severance?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that one I like a lot. It was funny. Like I was watching episode 1, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. Like I don't think I'm going to continue this series because I'm pretty selective with what I'm willing to like sit down and watch and spend time with. Yeah. But the ending of episode 1 had like a good hook, so I was like, all right, I'll watch one more. And now I'm like fully in it. Where I was like, this is the best. But I was very skeptical at first.
Christopher Walken and John Turturro, and they love each other.
Yeah, like that's like all I knew about it. That's what people were telling me. Like, oh yeah, John Turturro and Christopher Walken, they're lovers. They're like,
It
okay.
takes some getting used to, but I don't know if you ever get used to it. But yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, basically they sever yourself. When you're at work, you don't remember you're at home. When you come home from work, you don't remember your work. But it kind of splinters your identity. It's by Ben Stiller. He also did another great show, Escape from Dannemora. That's about a prison breakout with Patricia Arquette, Benicio del Toro, and Paul Dano. If you ever get a chance, it was on Showtime.
Oh, I've never even heard of that. What was
Escape from Dannemora? It was on Showtime.
Okay.
It's called Escape from Dannemora. That's a real prison somewhere. I don't know how to spell it, but it was really good. Basically, one of the prisoners was banging the woodshop lady, Patricia Arquette, and then they kind of con their way to break out. And it's a whole series, but it's good. Benicio del Toro is a con man. He's like, it's good. It's good. Anything with Benicio del Toro is good usually. Yeah, I still need to see The Phoenician.
What's the movie? One Battle After Another. I like just watched that.
Benicio that was great. Yeah. I liked it. Did you see Eddington?
No.
That is by Ari Aster, the guy that did Hereditary and Midsummer and what else did he do? Oh, Beau is Afraid. All those movies make me sick for some reason, but they're good. But they make you feel like you're going to throw up after watching them. But Eddington is really weird. John Waters recommended it. The guy that's like does a lot of movies with Johnny Depp and stuff, Crybaby and all that. That's why I finally watched it. But basically, it's Joaquin Phoenix. God, who else is in it? Why am I forgetting? Who is the other person? I have to look at. Oh, hold on. It's Joaquin Phoenix. And basically, it's a town that's going through COVID. And it's about them having to wear masks and all that stuff. But it gets Pedro Pascal's in it. And Emma Stone. But it gets crazy as hell. I would recommend it. It's definitely crazy. It's like one of those you're like, damn, that's crazy. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier. But Eddington. But definitely, I'm trying to think what I need to watch right now. There's some stuff, but I'm watching a lot of paranormal stuff lately, like those on the channels and stuff. What about the best movie I've seen is the Nosferatu one, but there's the others I just can't remember. That's the only one that I can remember right now is by the, Lighthouse guy and the witch guy. Did you see Nosferatu?
I saw part of it. I didn't finish it, but I did see the witch that I've seen.
Yeah. Did you walk out?
People were raving about Nosferatu, but I only saw, I don't know. I don't even know. Like the first 10 minutes, maybe.
Wow. Did you walk out of it?
Well, like I said, I'm very picky about. Like I don't watch.
You walked out of it.
I didn't walk out. I mean, it was in my home. I didn't walk out of it. Anything like that. But I was watching it, and I was like, I think I'm going to go to bed. Is kind of where I was at.
Like Oprah Interview with the Vampire screening. She actually walked out of that because of the rat scene or something. Yeah. But anyway, no, it's good. You should give it a try. I love Nosferatu. I love the silent one and that Klaus Kinski one by Werner Herzog. You ever seen that one?
No.
There's a colorized version of Nosferatu. Put this on your to-do list. It came out in the 70s, but it's really good. It starts out with mummified babies and stuff on walls, which might not be good to watch during all this Epstein stuff. But anyway, basically, Klaus Kinski is Nosferatu, and he does a great job. It's in color. It's very similar to the movie, but more kind of classy and bigger budget probably, but really good. It's just called Nosferatu.
And the story with that guy is he's insane, right? Isn't that the story with that actor? Like him and Herzog were always fighting, right? Like threatening to kill each other.
Talking about Klaus Kinski? I think there may have been something with him. I don't know. I know he's done a lot. He seems like might be a little kooky. Let's just look in his eyes. But yeah, there may be something like that for sure. But you got to see that one. It's an older one. There's actually a novelization book of that too. That old you can find on eBay. That's pretty cool. Of that Nosferatu and posters and stuff. You can find the art is just amazing, and the settings and the scenes, and they're really well made. It's really good. Basically, Werner Herzog redid Nosferatu.
Wow. Okay. That I will definitely check out.
What about Shadow the Vampire? That's one.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, for sure. William Dafoe. Yeah.
That's definitely a favorite for sure. That's the weird thing about what's coming out in movies. Is there anything that excites you coming out? I can't think of anything right now.
Oh,
Maybe the Hobbit. Maybe the Hobbit one.
yeah. I'm
Peter
so
Jackson.
out of it. Like I don't even know what's coming out. Do people say? I'm like, oh, that's a movie. Like, all right, I'll watch it.
There's nothing. Most of it's just like, whoa, not any good. I do want to see Brazil again. I haven't seen that in a long time by Terry Gilliam.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a great one.
Brazil. But pop-up books, man. So you think you're going to do that with the pop-up book for sure? It's a lot of work.
I mean, we're gonna do a little one, like because he also does like pop up cards. So we're gonna do like a card, but we're gonna like do a whole comic, like a 4-page kind of short comic. And if that goes well, we might, we might follow up with something like bigger. He's also into like gamifying books and stuff, like I'm into. So we've had other discussions about trying different things, like what would it look like to have like a pop up book that's also like a choose your own adventure. So we have lots of ideas. We're going to start small with kind of a small book. The plan, if it all works out the way I think it's going to work, is basically we're going to do a Christmas story that's like a pop up book. So it should be out this November or December if all goes according to plan, and that'll be our little trial thing. And then
well, yeah, keep me in the update. Maybe when that comes out, you and that guy could come on at one time. That would be crazy.
Oh yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, he's a very interesting dude. He does like he's done like Andy Warhol pop up books and Keith Haring pop up books.
Nice.
He has a Banksy one coming out. Like so he's like in it, and he does these very interesting books and very interesting projects. Yeah, so he's Ross. He's a really interesting dude. Yeah, that would be cool. I'll talk to him about it for sure.
Yeah, just like I'll keep in touch. And does he have a pop up book that he revealed to you in a secret chamber that opens up doorways to dimensional realities?
If he did, I can't talk about
it. Like the Hellraiser box. But yeah, there's a really good Hellraiser game coming out that looks amazing. I really want to check it out. A video game that looks great. I don't know exactly how the hell you're supposed to play that, but kidding. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Just being a kitty. But so what's some of the, we only got about 8 minutes. So what's some of the other Kickstarters you got coming up?
Yeah. So Burnt's going on right now. The next one will be Hellhole Quarterly Volume 3 or Volume 4, excuse me. What's going to be after that? I don't know when the Murder on the High Seas will probably come out before the end of the year. I do have a game called Kitten Apocalypse War that'll be coming out at some point here soon, and that's kind of like a speed version of war, but with like crazy kittens during the apocalypse. It's kind of like a crazy card game, kind of like a frenetic, agitated card game. It's not like a calm game. It's like a kind of game, but it's fun, and it's got like these like monstrous kittens in the apocalypse. That'll be coming out later this year. I'm trying to think what else is on the schedule. Am I forgetting anything?
And the secret story in this book, that is what is it called? Lost or something?
I'm sorry.
Is there a new story in the Burnt book that you just
yes, there is a brand new story in the Burnt book. That's a Hellhole story. It's called The Job. And it's kind of like a crime sort of short story thing. It's not to spoil it, but it's about a guy who reluctantly, he's kind of like a washed up hitman. He doesn't want to like do it anymore, but he ends up like taking this job, and things don't quite go the way it's expected to go. So yeah, so it's very much kind of following kind of the themes of Hellhole, very film noir, very kind of like dark, but and it has some twists and turns where unexpected things happen, and it has a little bit of humor to it too, but it's definitely a very dark sense of humor for sure. But yeah, that's, I believe it's either 12 or 15 pages long. I would have to look at it to see exactly. But it's a complete little story, and yeah, that's all brand new, and that's in the new edition.
I may jump in and get that at some point, or get it from you in the future. I'm going through money turbulence right now, but that's bad for comic books, that's for sure. And but as far as man, Weird West, you ever going to do a Weird West, you think? You ever thought about that?
I did do a comic called Gray Metal that was a vampire robot western. It was how many pages was it? It wasn't very long. It was maybe like 10 pages, but it didn't complete the whole story. It was sort of like a little cliffhanger thing. It got published in like a little anthology book, a little independent anthology book. But every once in a while, like I look at it, like Gray Metal, I'm like, maybe I should finish that. If you go to my website, thanebenson.com, you can read the little short comics there, and you'll see it's robots and vampires in a Western setting.
Awesome.
So yeah, maybe one day I will finish Gray Metal. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Some old, we got 5 minutes, but some Weird West movies. There was one I saw recently. It's like the first Weird West, and I'm forgetting the name, but it's black and white, like the Gunslinger or something like that. And it was weird, like the guy's a vampire or something like that. And then there's another one, The Burrowers. That was an old Western that came out like in the 90s from a horror company about these things that live underground and get inside of you, like the natives and stuff. But any Weird West movies you've seen? That Bone Tomahawk was good.
Well, I was just gonna say I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my to watch list. Is Bone Tomahawk? Do you recommend it? Because I do want to see it. Okay.
It's kind of, I mean, it's definitely violent. It has Sid Haig in it, not for very long, and it has Kurt Russell. It's good. It's worth it, but there's some cannibal stuff in it, so just be ready.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been curious about, and for whatever reason, it's come up a lot lately, and I'm like, I feel
cannibalism.
No, just not cannibalism. Bone Tomahawk specifically. I'm like, I need to see this. I think I really need to see this movie.
Yeah, you should see it. You should see it for sure. It's okay. Really good. Another one's, what is this? Something about birds. A horror movie. Weird West Western movie. Birds something. Oh, no, of course it didn't show. Not the birds. It's got the dude from E.T. in it. What's that little dude's name? The little guy, Elliot. I can't remember. He's in it. But I'd have to find it and send it to you.
Okay.
I'll just put birds horror movie. It's called Birds something. I have the stupid thing. I'll have to find it another time. Right now, it's not letting me find it, but I own it. But it's a Weird West, but it has that guy from E.T. in it and stuff. What is his name?
Is it him as a kid or him as a grown-up?
He's an adult. E.T. Elliott actors. I'm going to find this damn movie. We have 3 minutes. Henry Thomas. What Westerns horror has Henry Thomas been in? Why is it not showing that? Of course, it's showing everyone but that one. I'll find it and send it to you sometime, but
okay.
That's fine. But give us your links one more time and we're going to close out.
Yeah, so thanebenson.com has all my stuff on there. If you go there, it'll bring you, there's a link right at the front that'll bring you to my Kickstarter. But you can also go to tinyurl.com/burntogn to go straight to the Kickstarter if you'd rather do that. I'm on social media. I kind of hate social media, but I try to do it. But if you want to look for me, I'm on Instagram. It's at Thane Benson. I'm on Blue Sky and X and all those things. Everything is just my name, at Thane Benson. You can find me pretty easily. Luckily, I have a fairly unique name, so it's easy to just get my name as everything. Yeah.
I found that it's called Dead Birds.
Dead Birds.
That's one to write down for sure. It's a crazy Weird West from 2004 with Henry Thomas in it. Michael Shannon's in it. I didn't realize that.
Oh, okay. I love Michael Shannon.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He still has a career, even though he said that people that voted for Trump belong in an urn. He said that, and he's still getting like I guess they can't whitewash it anymore with all this stuff out. It's so crazy. But man, we appreciate it so much. We survived, and to keep me in the loop about anything in the future, and I always like to help promote, and we appreciate it. Thanks so much, man.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. It was a lot of fun. And I've got all kinds of movies and books and stuff and comics that I got to check out now. So thank you for all the recommendations.
We appreciate it. Have a good weekend. I'm supposed to go to this Alabama Mardi Gras. Wild Thing's going to be there. Tone Loc. I listened to him in junior high. Wild Thing. But anyway, God help me. All right, everybody have a good weekend. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank
Good night.
you.